Welcome back here with Goldberg. Today I wanted to talk about this peculiar dynamic which has unfolded over the last 2 or 3 months. And it came to my mind because I've been doing research on this book concerning fascism, where almost every scholar, regardless of whether they are Marxist or middle of the road, they will just go out of their way to disclaim or undermine anything good that might have come out of a particular regime. So if so-and-so leader achieved this, then it has to be tempered by saying, but there was a lot of corruption or incompetence, it didn't live up to the propaganda. And let's just take that at face value. I don't do so in the book, but for this discussion, we will just play it safe. But at the same time, if we look at our own assumptions, our own sort of liberal supremacy, our assuredness over the fact that our system is better because we happen to be more democratic, and then you look at the applied reality and you're saying, we're not all that much different. And it's pretty pathetic, honestly. So if you look at Obama, there are countless scandals, money being squandered, corruption. We didn't hear as much about it because he was Obama. And CNN keeps replaying this clip of him in 2014 saying, if we have airborne AIDS, it's going to be a big problem. Okay, so where was the medical stockpile? You're telling me with all these Republicans who get donations from healthcare and medical supply companies, you couldn't get that in an appropriations bill? No, because you're a politician and there's no reward in you thinking ahead. You have to react to a situation or you won't get credit for it. So of course he didn't do anything serious. And Trump comes in, he's done some good, but he's also been immensely destructive in other areas. And the same thing, countless scandals, corruption, misappropriation of money. But this is supposedly a better system. We have the right to judge and condescend and claim that we are so much, we should be held above in such high esteem. You look at the manifestations of this liberal supremacy and idealism in response to this crisis. So in order to protect us, because the government's supposed to protect us against evil, so protect us against fascism or terrorists, criminals, whatever, to protect us against this disease, with these draconian stay-at-home orders, they sacrifice people's jobs, businesses, livelihood. So you might become a debt slave, you might lose your house, your car, whatever, but at least you're not going to die of a disease. We're protecting you from that plague, the scourge. And, it's kind of interesting because if they really wanted to manage it, instead of spending $6+ trillion, and now they want to spend more, you could have said, all right, for a lot of these industries, maybe not transportation or tourism so much, but hell, like the barbershops. They could have done this weeks ago. Okay, you can only have 5 customers in the store. They have to wear a mask and gloves. Limits in other places. Old people, please stay at home. Have hours designated just for older folks, like they're doing anyway. And we would have saved how much money and how much heartache for people who are living in these, these economic positions where they are very vulnerable. But in order to maintain its self-righteous position, the liberal state has to tell you, no, we are going to make the decisions for you. We are going to intercede on your behalf. We know what's best for you. Then, of course, you've had we need to listen to science. We got to pay attention to what the scientists say. And so you've got, Fauci, the entertainer. He's a PR guy. He comes out there and he's like, I do not believe that we have to wear masks. And this was then a couple of weeks later, all of a sudden we have to wear masks. The government was just hedging because they probably didn't have enough supplies for the healthcare industry, so they didn't want everyone rushing and buying up the masks and gloves. But as you see, the liberal state is not really looking out for you. It's undermining your own well-being if you assume that the science is accurate, of course. They have no clue what's going on. They're just grasping for stuff. Even if you look at the recovery packages, shouldn't this stuff have already been enacted like months, if not years ago, in preparation? The funds should already be set aside. The program should be in effect for emergencies. But instead, we have to sit here bickering and debating over something to know how to solve a problem while people are actually suffering and losing everything. Again, it shows you, Democrat or Republican, they have no clue what the hell's going on, but we're American exceptionalists. We have to keep believing in that garbage, even though it's built on really just naivete. And of course, the thing with the hydroxychloroquine, and you guys know I'm not a MAGA bro. Oh yeah, whatever he says, but just think about it for a second. The VA, oh, we've used this for 70 years. We do like 40-some thousand doses a year. And then on the flip side, they were interviewing these ER doctors, health commissioners, and they're going, my concern is about the side effects. Thinking, oh, really? So if you're a doctor in the United States, how many different medications and drugs do you prescribe in a given year? And how many side effects do those particular substances have? Oh, it's not a big deal because they're FDA approved. As long as we play the nice music and the guy's got the aura around his stomach, or the woman, she's leading the high school marching band and shaking her booty, and, you know, oh yeah, he's buying his daughter the car. It means that it's good. No problem at all. Most prescriptions, they talk about how it's going to cause internal bleeding, diabetes, death, whatever, but people take it because the doctor says so. You're supposed to trust the doctor even though the doctor's prescribing you something which they have to admit could very well kill you. Like a chemotherapy. I'd love to see the liberals who oppose hydrochloroquine. I guess they're now all against chemotherapy, because chemotherapy, can it be effective? Yeah. Does it kill a whole lot of other parts that are good in the body? Yes. So now are you just going to go around this ridiculous argument? Again, it's all about people still playing politics while claiming that somehow we can trust science, trust doctors. It's bullcrap, plain and simple. Then, of course, you've got one I wanted to touch on, and that is the public education system. Now, this is an interesting one, because if you notice, or if you remember back around March or so, as soon as the government started closing the schools, there were all these ominous-sounding articles from major publications like the Wash Paste, saying the dangers of homeschooling, social anxiety, social skills, stunted development, all that sort of thing. You're thinking, why? Well, think about it for a second. The public education system is another extension of the liberal state knows best, right? Even conservatives, biggest hypocrites in the world, they complain about low information voters and they farm their kids off to the vibrant diversity and enrichment centers. You know, oh yeah, the public education system can raise my child. No. You're letting government bureaucrats, many of whom, by the way, it's not difficult to become a teacher. I'm not saying all teachers are bad. I'm not saying it's always an easy job, but it's not a difficult career to get into. It's usually folks who they get out of college, they don't really know what they want to do, but it's a safe career with government benefits and a decent amount of vacation. So, you know, that's why you have these people, frankly, in my opinion, who go after the kids. They prey on them because they're bored. They just want something that's comfortable out of college, but then they lose aspiration for anything else, and so they're perverts. But really, like, again, as soon as you start decentralizing their ability to hold a grip on the minds of the children, oh, the government freaks out. But the government can't afford not to do that, because they have to protect you from the disease. So it's this huge conflict of sorts. They want to be able to indoctrinate, inculcate all these stupid ideas, you know, so you're raised basically thinking that MLK wrote the Constitution, AOC signed the Declaration of Independence. You're raised with that type of mentality in the public education system. It keeps demanding more money for inferior results, right? And that's somehow a good thing. Now, in all seriousness, if we are serious, I guess a little bit repetitive, but Moomers, Zoomers, if there's any hope of repairing all the problems of the last 60 or 70 years, these variations on American exceptionalism, we need a little bit of humility. So for liberals, it's the idea that, you know, fantasy of America being this land of milk and honey for diversity, which of course you want open borders, you're going to destroy the country, ultimately. For conservative, it's the overdevelopment, selling out to big business because it helps with economic growth. Who cares about the environment? Who cares about how communities are being destroyed and, you know, all the pollution and whatnot? As long as it helps our little agenda, our image of the American dream. People have to be willing to lay that aside. But ultimately, if you keep believing blindly in the fact that our system is great, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to allow these problems to continue happening. We have to recognize we want to maintain a democratic system. We want to have, you know, freedom, fine. We have to be honest with ourselves about the flaws and we need to address them before, of course, more people come in power who are like, they don't care about laws. They don't care about process because they see what a circus it has become. And that's why, unless things change, you're going to see more of these populists, more of this, who cares? I'm just going to go my way as long as people support me. You want to prevent that? You have to start being honest about all the issues that we face.